Well, so this evening's topic is the urgency in our spiritual life. Yeah, a question by Chandan Yatra Prabhu. So we'll discuss something. So something you can reflect while you are listening. That every single day, time is passing, and every day our life is moving towards its conclusion. The question is, are we moving towards Krishna with the same speed? Right? Something to think about. And in many of his discussions, Srila Prabhupada always emphasizes that one should grasp the devotional service immediately and not wait until something happens. One of the things he saw was modern society was drowning in many distractions. Right? You all are very familiar with distraction. Speaking of distraction, have you turned it off? Okay, so please make sure. I should check also in case it was. I'm sure I did. I always do. I have to be careful. So he saw that. He saw a lot of distraction, and he saw the rampant growth of materialism in society nowadays. No, then it'll be too far, and then it's okay. See, I thought he wanted to use this. So yeah. And because there's so much that we pursue materially, there is definitely ample opportunity to easily forget our spiritual side. That's what is happening to all of us. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada wanted to make it very clear that the human life is meant for self-realization. So now while I'm talking, you should try to listen. Listen to me. Don't chant and listen to nothing. Okay? Because some of you are chanting and then you're thinking you're listening. So when we chant, the emphasis should be on hearing what we chant. And when you are in a lecture or a classroom, then the emphasis is to hear the speaker. Okay? So try to do that and you'll benefit, hopefully you get something out of it. The other thing Srila Prabhupada wanted to emphasize was that spiritual life is not separate from our daily life activities and so on. And it's not fear-based, we are not trying to scare you or whatever, but one of the things that you have to understand is that taking a human form, the birth itself is very rare. Very difficult to get a human form. And more than that, it's very difficult to even get the opportunity to do bhakti. Manusyanam sahasrasya kaschit yatiti siddhaya yatatam avisiddhanu kaschit mam veti tatvadata. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna emphasizes there's so many hundreds and thousands of people looking for some spirituality, and out of those maybe one would take up spirituality. And then out of the hundreds and thousands of people who take up spirituality, hardly one will want to worship Narayana or Krishna. And then out of that 100,000 who worship Narayana, only one will actually attain pure love from Godhead. So it's very rare. So when our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada brought this to the West, the intention was based on compassion, not anything else. And so therefore, it's an opportunity for each and everyone to embrace this and then find yourself centered, focused, and determined to go back to where you originally came from. So that's the whole emphasis. And so, it is not fear-based, it's more purpose-based, what your true identity is, what you're meant to do in this material world, and so on. And more than that, we also have Srila Prabhupada's realizations in his books. And so that's also a rare opportunity for each and every one of you. And more than that, what he gave us was a society where you can also find like-minded personalities, where you can associate and improve your spirituality. And so, therefore, it's very important to take this activity seriously. Prahlad Maharaj said, Kaumaram achara prajno dharmam bhagavatam iha durlabham manasam janmam. Durlabham manasam janmam. It's very rare birth. Human life is very rare. Tadapi adruvam athardavam artadam. Very rare. And anyone who can take this process, even a child can take the process. It's very easily one can practice and find meaning in it. So therefore, devotional service should be practiced to gain advantage. If you start young, then it becomes part of your life and it's easy, and you can go through life and not take up bad habits. But if you start old, you already picked up many bad habits, and it's very difficult to give up. So therefore, the emphasis is that let's make the good use of a bad bargain. We have taken birth and we have gone through many difficulties. So now is an opportunity to hone your spiritual abilities properly, and then you can attain spirituality. Now in the Mahabharata, there was a very interesting episode where in a particular place, I think you already understand that Yudhishthira Maharaj was once feeling very thirsty. So then he asked Nakula and Sahadev to see if there's any water nearby. They were in the forest, so I think Sahadev climbed up the tree and surveyed and said there's a lake nearby. And so he went to get water for Yudhishthira Maharaj. So when he went there, as he was taking the water in a pot, he heard a voice, if you answer the question or you die. You cannot take the water, but you have to first answer the question and then you can take the water, otherwise you will die. But Sahadev, he couldn't see anyone and he dismissed that voice or the sound. And so then he took the water. As soon as he took the water, he collapsed. And after some time, Yudhishthira Maharaj was thinking, where is Sahadev? So then he called Nakula and said, go and look for your brother. So he went to take water. So similarly, Nakula went, and after Nakula, Arjuna was sent, and after Arjuna, Bhima was sent. So none of them came back because they all were, or they refused to answer the questions of the voice that said. So finally, Yudhishthira Maharaj himself went personally to the place and he saw a beautiful lake and he was feeling very thirsty. And then he looked and he saw his brothers were all collapsed, and then he felt very sorry. He was very hurt to see his brothers and he thought they are dead. And so, but he was thirsty, so he also went to take the water. But as soon as he picked the water, he heard the sound. You cannot take the water unless you answer the questions or you die. So as soon as he heard that, he said, yes, I'll answer the question. So there's a series of questions this personality is asking him. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is very well versed in scriptures and so on, answers them so clearly. And then there's one question which is very interesting, and you should hear this. And the personality is asking, he says, what is the most truly amazing thing in this material world? And so Yudhishthira Maharaj, he answers this, that though humans are mortal, everyone lives as though they are immortal. Everyone knows we are going to die, but we are living as if we will live forever. That's a very important thing for us to take into our consciousness and then think about it. In fact, a similar question was asked to the Dalai Lama, And they were asked him, what surprises him the most in humanity? And then he says, man. And then he says, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate from his health. Okay? And then he's so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. Very deep and profound. So what is that danger? The danger is we have come to spirituality, and if we treat spiritual life very casually, we lose the opportunity to make the best use of this life. It is only in the human form you can actually inquire about spiritual topics. It is not possible in any other forms of life, and therefore the emphasis is there. So therefore, seriousness is required from all of us, not just you, even me, myself also. I too have to put more importance in what I do. Jivera Swarupa Krishnera Nityadas, there's the Supreme Person, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, the constitutional position of the living entity is spiritual. And not just spiritual, that he is eternally a servant of the Supreme Being. And so therefore we are meant to know how to serve the Lord. Unless we practice bhakti properly, we don't know how to do spiritual life properly. We won't know. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, our founder, he has kindly set up this society where we can learn how we can understand how to serve the Supreme Lord. And not just serve, but in a loving mood we learn how to serve. So that is the emphasis. So bhakti actually is the natural function of the living entity. And what is that function? That we like to serve. You will find that all of you love to serve. You like to serve your family members, you like to serve your pet, you like to serve your company, you like to serve the nation, the universe, whatever. You find that you like to serve. That is part of your nature. So therefore devotion is not something that is optional. It is part of you. So we shouldn't think that this is something new or added in. Sometimes people say that, this is man-made or created, but it is not. It is genuinely our nature. We are spirit soul. Again, the famous verse, Mama Yangsa Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We are spiritual in nature. We are not apart from spirit. We are not matter. We are spirit. We are spiritual beings who come here into the material realm. Obviously, if you go into space, you have to put on a space suit. So similarly, when you come into the material realm, you have to take on a material form. The problem is we don't know or we don't remember. We have a long memory lapse. We have amnesia. So the process of bhakti awakens us, allows us to see that we are actually covered. And in that covering, we tend to enjoy our material body, which is not us. And therefore it creates what we call forces that perpetuates this enjoyment. These forces are the spiritual, not actually spiritual, material energies, the three modes of matter, material energy, plus the karma that you are accumulating. Every time you do an action, and there's a reaction also. So again, bhakti or our loving propensity to serve the Supreme Lord is natural. When we oppose that natural thing, then we go through this cycle of trying to enjoy matter, but then we find that we actually cannot really completely enjoy. Yeah? If we enjoy, then we won't be miserable, at all. But you find, and this is a statement in the Shastra, that your happiness is actually defined as an interruption of your misery in this life. It's a very important statement, because you're not always happy in your car driving to work. As soon as Monday comes, you're all miserable. So how can you say you're happy, But spiritual activity is always joyful. Su sukham kartum avyayam, one joyfully performs these spiritual activities. We look forward to going and doing it. If you are part of the spiritual activities, but you find that you are not so happy doing spiritual activities, that means you are not doing it properly. That's the only thing, because it's a natural function. So if you deny your natural abilities, then there's something that is holding you back from realizing and experiencing that natural ability you have. So that's what Prabhupada says. It's a natural function, and we should be very careful. So as I mentioned earlier, this age, this portion of, there's 4 ages in the cycle of this universe. And so the first age is called the golden age or Satya Yuga, right? And then the second age is the silver age or Treta Yuga or Dwapara Yuga, depending how you count. And then the third age is Treta Yuga or Dwapara Yuga, again how you count. And then this age is known as the Iron Age or Kali Yuga. And here, which I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of distractions, so much distractions. You drive on the highway, you see billboards, right? They keep flashing things that you don't need actually, The present society or the economy is driven by what you don't need. They advertise until you think you actually need. There was a case where a man in US, living by himself, but one day they didn't see him, or after some time they couldn't find him. So then the police went to his home and they opened up, and then they saw the house was full of packages. It's so full and then they saw the TV was running. And then in front of the TV, the man was slumped. He was dead. And then when they looked at all around, the things that he bought, every time the advertisement came on the TV, buy now, special, he immediately called and bought it. Because his life was like that. He completely forgot the purpose of living also. And so he thinks, I need that, I need that, I need that. And they found the whole place was not only full of boxes, it was messy, dirty. He's been eating and throwing stuff and all. So he died like that in a miserable situation. Although he's a spiritual being, but because he identified in the incorrect way, he had to suffer like that. So you will find there's a lot of distraction in your life, a lot of anxiety is caused by the distractions, right? Sometimes you don't need something. Case in point, then they advertise, 1 day sale, 50% discount. So you run to get it, and then you find you couldn't get it, so you become miserable. But before that, you never thought about that. So because you are so attached to getting that result, you wanted it and you couldn't get it, so you become distressed, miserable, isn't it? It's so weird that just a day ago you didn't have that kind of misery, but then it's self-imposed. So much anxiety is also. And anxiety, I just mentioned the other day, it's all formed in your mind. You're thinking about this thing. I just mentioned a simple example, like your boss say, hey, Joe, come and see me in the office. I want to see you in 10 minutes. And then immediately you start thinking, is he going to fire me? Did I do something wrong? It's all negative. It's so negative. So much of anxiety. So this is how the society is nowadays. On the one hand, there's temptations. On another hand, is anxieties. So how can you be happy? Unless you know who you are, you will be in anxiety all the time. So Srila Prabhupada, our Acharya, our founder, he saw how even the practicing devotees, like all of yourself, can be easily pulled away by all these things. Because we still have material desires, like it or not, there is some in our hearts. And therefore, when it is tempted, we lose our senses, our conditioning comes out. The process of bhakti helps us to uncondition or recondition. Prabhupada also uses the word that I am helping to brainwash you because your brain is contaminated. So when I wash it, then you will see clearly. So that is what spiritual life is, to see clearly what your purpose is, first and foremost. Not something that is imposed on you by the society which doesn't know the purpose of human form of life. And so this is essential for us to clearly understand what is religious principles and what is this material life meant for. So that is important. We have to know what all this, why is it here then, this material world? So that's what we have to find out. So to get out of this difficulty, Srila Prabhupada emphasized strong practices. We call it sadhana, strong practices like chanting, waking up at a certain time and so on. Not that every day you wake up when you like, that is very irregular. That means you cannot also control your mind. When you are not regulated, your mind will control you. Your whole life will be under the mind, the trappings of the mind. So you have to be very careful. So that's one of the reasons why we have ashrams, where we hope that there is regulation. Otherwise we cannot attain that which we want to attain, and so it becomes difficult. And the second thing is, because we formed a society, we have ample opportunity to come together, as I mentioned, with like-minded persons. And so when we come together, we can share this realization. So, hey, this helped me, and this didn't help me, and so on and so forth. And therefore, it makes it much easier for all of us. So we share the burden. Devotee means sharing the burden. Devotee means Krishna helps us carry the burden, that we have, that we are holding on to. And then also we understand all the philosophy that we've learned. Otherwise it's just a book knowledge. It's not wisdom anymore. It's only through the practical experiences of others who share that it becomes wisdom, because we can understand, yeah, that should work. And then we apply it in our life and we see it actually works. And so that's very important. So it's a daily practice, chanting, hearing, readings, doing some service and association. So you have 24 hours. Srila Prabhupada recommended that, give at least anywhere between 6 to 8 hours of sleep. But most people sleep longer than that. Children need to sleep more because the brain needs to develop. So it's recommended anywhere from 8 to 10 or even 12 hours for young children. But when you are an adult, you don't need more than 6-7 hours at most. But if you have some illness or something, take rest, sleep more. But ultimately we don't. Otherwise, you will find that half your life is spent sleeping. So if you say, oh, I'm 100 years old, that means you have slept for. Doesn't make sense. So we have to be very, very careful and cautious about how we use our time also. You use half your life, and Prahlad Maharaj says that in the 7th canto, half the life is spent in that. When they are young kids like that, 10 years is wasted in trying to learn and understand. And then that is when they are boyhood. Then when they become youth, another 10 years is wasted in going to college and all that. Not that it's wasted in the sense, meaning the spiritual pursuit is not inclusive at that time. You're just learning things to live in this world. So 20 years is gone. Then 50 years of your thing is gone. 50 and 20 years, 70 years is gone. Where's Krishna in your life? And then when you get retirement, another 20 years gone, wandering around the world, sightseeing, going on cruises and getting sick. It's quite common actually. Right? So it is important. The emphasis here for you all to take a very carefully understanding of the process and then make a choice that will help you in the long run, not just little here and little there. If you are not serious, then you will drift. You will drift. And that's a song, right? Drift away. So you will drift. Because if you just take it for granted, casual practice, then your faith itself becomes weak. Because you just, well, let's try it out. And so there will be weakness in faith, and then the habits you have, you cannot overcome them from your previous life. That is not a good habit. You cannot overcome because your mind is still controlling you. You're not able to control the mind. So you fall prey to the habits of the old things before you come here. And then what does it mean? Because you are habituated to doing things that are not good for you also, then your character becomes also weak. Or people will say, the guy smokes a lot. He takes this, he takes that, or he's always drunk, then people say he has weak character, because he is not strong enough to control himself or show people that he can adjust and lead others properly. So people will say it's weak character. And then ultimately you will not be protected from the forces of the three modes of material nature. They can affect us, and then it can pull us away from practicing spiritual activities. So we need to actually practice properly, otherwise it's going to give us a lot of problem. Ashtadadana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapyamam Nivritanti Mrityu Samsara Vartmani. So Krishna says in the 9th chapter, he says that if you don't have faith in this process of devotional life, then what happens is that you will not practice it properly. And when you don't practice it properly, you cannot attain the supreme goal. You cannot get the goal of going back to spiritual world. And if you can't do that, then what is the alternative? If you can't go back to the spiritual world, means you have to keep taking birth again. Mrityu samsara vartmani. That means you die and have to go in the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease again and again. And that's not all. Remember I mentioned manusam, durlabham janma. Very rare birth. So if you misuse this birth, then there's 8.4 million species to pick on. Right? So only in the human form you can rationalize, you can use intelligence to understand God. And if you misuse, then you have to take birth in lower forms, and you have to go through the cycle from lower forms. You evolve consciously and then come back to human form. That may take millions of years. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada wanted us to be serious in our practice. So we should give as much as we can. We are not saying you don't take care of your duties. We are not saying you don't work. We are not saying you cannot attain a job as a CEO or what. But we are asking you to make sure you have Krishna in your life. That you give some time to Him also. After all, He is your creator, at least from the Vedic understanding. Right? So, yeah. And the thing, the urgency is because just like when Lord Buddha, when he was a prince, he went out of his palace. His father didn't want him to get out of the palace because in those days the astrologers were very good. When they read the astrology, it is spot on. They can tell you exactly how your life is going to be. Nowadays we don't have such good astrologers. We have maybe a mouse or a parrot that picks some card, and then you and you think that's the end of your life here. But that's not the reality. So anyway, the prince, when he couldn't go out, one day he escaped. And so when he ventured out of the palace, he saw so many people suffering. He has never seen a dead person. So he saw a dead body. He asked his driver, "What is this?" He said, "This is a dead person." He said, "What is dead?" He said, "Everyone dies." And then he saw some beggars, and then people who were sick, poor, people who were living. And so he questioned all this. What is this? So the charioteer was saying, this is how life is. Yeah? So that had a huge impact in him. So, and then he started to meditate and ask, what is the purpose of life? You know? So that was what was driving him to search and find out what he should do. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada saw suffering everywhere. He traveled around the world 14 times, in many cities all over the world. And he saw a lot of the time people were suffering. They were trying to pursue material life, but they were always being cheated. Just like many of you are working so hard to get that. You know, we are all hoping for the pot of the gold at the end of the rainbow, you know. But with the present governments around the world, there's no more rainbow, you know. Not only that, they steal the pot of gold. The government keeps the pot of gold. So he therefore wanted to help us check the imbalance of values that is now currently prevalent in society. They don't have values actually. You know, even America, they've cut down the education syllabus so much there's nothing to teach actually. So the teachers complain, but then, you know, again, because of the capitalistic society, they just work, you know. And they don't really teach values anymore. In ISKCON, many devotees started up schools on our own, registered with the state or the education ministry or so on. So we do start, and we teach, we put up on our outside our school saying values and so on. So the model that we teach, and amazingly we found that many of the local people who live near the neighborhood of that school, they come and join. But amazingly, devotee kids don't join because the parents don't want that. It is interesting, yeah, because the parents want the kids to go to amazing school and so on, but they don't think it's important to have values. They think it's okay, I can teach values. Now, but you can't teach values if you yourself are not behaving properly at home. Your kids are watching you. You are their model. They will base on. And so, if you are not a good example, then don't complain later on. So you have to accept their reactions for it. So Srila Prabhupada therefore wanted devotees, practitioners like us, to be strong pillars in society. That means we read his books, we practice what we are reading, and we are morally strong also. We should have all those. And then we are committed to these principles, And then ultimately we should be loyal to our Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada. We should be loyal, Of course, the thing that helps us focus and make good choices is chanting properly. It's very important that we chant properly. When we chant, we should chant with attention, not inattentive chanting. Okay? Okay, so therefore, it is the most effective way for spiritual realization for us. And Srila Prabhupada said we should all be chanting a minimum of 16 rounds. Not minimum 16 good rounds. Yeah. That's very important. Yeah. Okay, and he also emphasized that we should study the scripture, because then you will know why you're doing what you're doing. It's not blind following. We don't want blind followers. We don't want lemmings, right? Otherwise we'll drop on the cliff. If a wayward leader were to take you away, then you will follow blindly. So we don't go and listen and not understand what it is. Oh, he said it, so I'll do it. No, it's not. You ask yourself why, and then you question, and then you'll find out. If they don't know, they will check the scripture, and then they'll come back and say this is the answer. So therefore we have the check and balance system, like the accounting system, So Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So we ask the the spiritual authority guru, or then we ask some saintly person, or we check with the scriptures to make sure this is all in balance. It is not just someone's random imagination to tell you, do this, is good for you. No, we don't do those things. We're just telling you what is good for you based on this scripture. And that's what Prabhupada wanted. So, apart from that, we should not hear from people who are not aligned with what Srila Prabhupada is teaching. Okay, there are many people who profess to know spirituality, or people who on their own went into the mountains, and then they come out back from the mountain and say, I've realized something. And then they start speaking their philosophy, and then people gather around them and say, oh, he is a sadhu, and so on. We don't do those things, because according to scripture, it says that a person must be connected in what we call Guru Parampara. So this is one of the most important things. There's only 4 authorized disciplic lines in this world, actually, based on the Vedas. The Sampradaya coming from Lord Brahma, and the Sampradaya coming from Lord Shiva, from Lakshmi Devi, and from the 4 Kumaras. So there's 4 principal Sampradayas. And of course, these are all personal aspects of Narayana or Vishnu or Krishna worship. And then those who are the impersonalists, they come in the Sankara line. Okay, there's 2 lines, the Vaishnava and the Sankara lines. Srila Sanatana Goswami emphasized in the Padma Purana, he quoted from Padma Purana, and this is a very nice verse. I'll say it. Avaishnava mukudgirnam putam hari kathamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpo chistam yatha payaha. So the translation is, one should not hear anything about Krishna from a non-Vaishnava. It is just like milk touched by the lips of a serpent, because it has poisonous effects. Similarly, it talks about Krishna given by a non-Vaishnava are also poisonous. So you can't just run. Somebody calls you on the phone, your friend says, oh, this, Bogi Baba is here, So then you run to the Bogi Baba to listen some Bogi Katha, And what do you benefit? Oh, that was nice Katha, that's all. But you don't get the ability to realize the importance of your connection with the Supreme Personality of God here, So it's very important not to hear anything from outsiders, or you hear from an impersonalist, then you'll think everything is impersonal. Or worse still, there's a group of impersonalists known as Mayavadis. They say, I am God, you are God. We are all God. So some God has a headache, some God has a stomach ache, How can God go through all this, right? So they talk all this and you get only confused. If you are God, what the hell are you doing here? Right? What are you doing here? You should be up there enjoying. God means He enjoys. So this kind of philosophy is so prevalent out there, so common, and people think that's the best. So you should be very careful. To protect yourself, you gather in facilities where like-minded personalities are there, so you have protection. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So therefore, you should avoid such inauspicious association. We should simply hear what Srila Prabhupada. You can even gather and just read from Prabhupada. Everyone hears together and then ask questions afterwards. Why did Prabhupada say this? How do I understand this? How to make changes in my life? What are the things that you did that worked for you? Please help me out, like that. So we make tangible advancement like that, Okay, how did you cook this? Give me the recipe, Otherwise, you don't know. You go to some restaurant and then you say it's vegetarian, But the guy at the back of the kitchen, he's spitting or he's coughing on the things, and then you eat and say, this is the best taste I ever had. Or you eat something and it's very crunchy and you like it, but you don't know there's cockroaches in the mix. Right? These are real things. It happens in restaurants. You know? My friend worked in a restaurant, so he told me once, you don't know what the cooks and chefs do. Then I say, what do you mean? He said, if they get angry with the client who says, I don't like. So he said one time, one guy said, the meat is not done properly. I want to take it back. This is not what I want. So when the chef got it, he was very angry. He said, what does he want? He said he wants it tender. So the chef took it and threw it on the ground and then jumped on it. So then he took it, put it on plates. It's tender enough now. Now these are things that happen out there, and so we think it doesn't happen to me. Right? So it's even more gross things have happened. So I'm not going to mention them, but this is what it is. Yeah. So we need to take shelter. Guru Pada Ashraya, Rupa Goswami says, one should take shelter of a spiritual authority, a spiritual master, so that you know how to learn by serving them in a humble mood and inquiring from them what is the purpose of life. We are here because we want to learn and make advancement. That's why we come to such gathering. If you are not interested, you won't be here. So because you're here, that means there is this inclination in your heart. Then my point is, do it well, don't just take it for the face value. It's very important, because anytime you can give up this body, very easily, you never know, There was a boy in India, he was very brilliant, he was getting A's and so on. He would come to the temple associated with the brahmacharis, he loved it so much. Then he had to do his final exam before he graduated. So he told them, I have to go and do this properly, I want to get the best grades, the top student. So he went, he did it. But he missed the devotee association for like 3 to 4 months because he wanted to study. So he got the grades, everything. He got gold star, I think in India they call it, the best student. So then when a few days before he was coming to the ashram, right, he got into an accident and he died. Just like that. Top student, everything, was going to get good job, everything, but that was so we cannot predict our life, But what we can do is we can connect ourselves with this Supreme Personality of Godhead by the practice. So therefore, we should take this seriously, each and every one of you. You have the opportunity, so don't misuse this opportunity. The other thing about Srila Prabhupada's mission here is that he has always said that he presents this message from the authorities as it is. Right? You see his Bhagavad Gita, he said Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srimad Bhagavatam is also, he never put his own thoughts. If you buy books from many of these scholars or so on, they come up with their own theories. Without any experience of spiritual culture, they can come up with thoughts and understanding they think is important. So it's very important for us to know, actually many of these people who write, so many of these scholars who write, they actually don't know what they're doing. Just like some scholar writes about the Indian culture, and then he says this is how they live. And I was looking at it and say, how does he know what is in our hearts, why we do certain things? It's not possible, but because they are on the outside studying, he thinks he knows. And then the books he writes, top seller. But he doesn't even understand why we do certain things, for what reason. So this is what you get, actually. So we have to be very careful, because they will juggle everything, just like a juggler or a magician, right? They are like people who talk nonsense or do some illusion and then you believe it. Right? You believe that. You won't say, yeah, I saw it with my own eyes. But it's an illusion. It's all cheating, you know. So Prabhupada always presented the philosophy as it is. So if you can read his purports and you'll see the impact on your life. Yeah, it's real, it's fresh, it's meaningful, and it's practical. You can apply it in your life, you know. Oftentimes you find, although there are groups of people who profess to also do bhakti, they also sometimes say they are Vaishnava, but then when you get to them, they dilute the philosophy, they dilute the practices, alright? And you find the values are not there anymore. They say, it's okay, you can do this. You know, Guruji, can I smoke? Yeah, you can smoke, but just make sure you give me some, you know what, yeah. You know, don't, you know, yeah, I guess I can say yes if you can just, yeah. So there are people like that, you know. And there's a group also, I'm not making it up, there's this group where the Guru charges for mantras. Yeah, you know, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So that will cost you like $350, $400. Then if you want more mantras, it costs you $1,000. I mean, come on, what is this, supermarket? Yeah. It's a joke, you know. So they are not actually interested in trying to connect you with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're more or less making it into a business venture. Yeah. Because why? This society is capitalist. Everything they want to do is make money. That's one thing. The other thing is, many of what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita is misinterpreted by many of these personalities, so that they get more followers. So they give you what you are listening. You know, you ask something totally, what do you think? They will ask you. Then you say, I think this is that's right. You are very intelligent. That's how they answer. You know, you see that and you just overwhelmed. The celestial bells. Promote impersonalism also. They promote that. Yeah? They don't, because they want people to follow them, so they don't want people to follow God. So they promote impersonalism. Oh, there's no God, we are all the same, and so on. So one time one person was telling one of the devotees, you know, I am God, you are also God. I am you, you are me. So the devotee was smart enough and said, I am you and you are me? He said, yes. So what I have is yours? He said, yes. And what you have is mine? Yes. Okay, give me $20. The devotee asked. Then the person said, kept quiet. He said, but I am you and you are me. So if you give me, it's still with you. So because he's so proud, he didn't want to say he's wrong, he took out and gave the $20. So then the devotee kept the money and walked away. Then he came running back, you know, I need money to go in the bus. Yeah. So this is the philosophy they sell, and foolishly sometimes we don't think about it and we subscribe to that. And ultimately you become weak with all the negative influence of such philosophies which has no foundation, no strength, and so you become weak. That's one of the problems. And then the other thing is, when you read Prabhupada's books, you will not fall prey to sentimentalism. Everything we do has a purpose behind it. It is not out of some sentiment we are doing it. It has meaning and purpose. And the interpretations are all personal interpretations. The Supreme Person is a person just like you and me. He has feelings and emotions just like you and I. Okay? So we want to be protected. So if you remain under ISKCON, you will be protected. But if you go outside and listen to all this, then you will have so many different things in your mind, and we can't help you actually. Yeah. And if you really don't want, we cannot do much about it. Nobody is forcing you to stay here, but we are giving you the grounds by which things can go wrong. Okay. And And when you are together, then we have unity of mission, we want to have a unified movement. Therefore, we have temples in almost every city. So wherever temple you go, we do the same thing. So that's why it's important for you all to make sure the standard here is good. All of you are responsible for the temple here. Not Vishnu Charan. All of you. Okay? Together you make it a great society. There's farm communities in some places, and you find they are using natural resources, everything that is in sync with the nature, and they are doing farming techniques that do not deplete the soil. Modern farming techniques are dead. The soil is dead within a couple of years, right? If you all read the statistics and so on, there's no more, we call in scripture prana. Prana means life force. The soil has no life force. So if you try to grow crops, the crops are already dead. They have no nutrition. Yeah. So the techniques that we do is to be eco-friendly, so to speak, modern terminology. But everything is connected to the Supreme Lord. We want to do and grow crops that pleases the Lord. We don't want to abuse the land that we live in. So that's one thing. The other thing is, in many other cities, they have what program we call Food for Life. Because there are a lot of people, actually believe it or not, even in the most, they say, most prosperous country, most prosperous city, a lot of people are begging in the street. So therefore, Food for Life is where we cook sufficient sanctified food, where we distribute to those poor people who are in need of nutrition and food and so on. So we do that actually. And then if you go outside of our society, you will become confused because you don't understand what is, who is a guru, what is the guru's purpose, how the guru helps us. We don't understand what authority to follow also. And then if you do that, let's say you go to some other place and then you come to ISKCON and then you go and you come, then where's your loyalty also? There would be mixed loyalty, and then ultimately it will weaken your faith. And if your faith is weakened, you cannot do bhakti properly. Okay? And when Srila Prabhupada was personally here, he witnessed devotees becoming easily distracted. As I mentioned earlier also. They get confused very easily. Therefore, again, we are saying, be careful where you are looking for knowledge about spirituality. If you get it in a wrong source, then you will say every spiritual thing is bad. Vita, Raga, Bhaya, Krodha, 410. That Krishna says, people don't take up this practice because they are fearful. Or they are attached to material things. Or they get angry because everyone's saying something stupid. And so therefore they say, I'm not taking up spiritual life because they don't know what they are talking and they are lying and they're cheating and so on. So these are some of the practical dangers of going outside. Or they will tell you, no, just keep doing this pursuit of knowledge or pursuit of some, charitable thing or so on. And that's what they say. All it does is just keeps creating confusion and weakening someone's spiritual life. Ultimately, you will lose taste for chanting. Although in the Shastra it says, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama ve kevalam, kalo nasteva, 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 gati anyata. In this age of Kali, the way to get liberated from this material world is through the chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name. There's no other way, there's no other way, there is no other way. Shastra is saying that. Not me, I'm not saying that. It's in the scripture. And then, if you know too many things, then you end up thinking you know more than Srila Prabhupada. Oh, I read this Purana, I read that Purana. Or if you go to another Vaishnava gathering, and then they do some activities, then you come, why we are not doing this? We are not doing it because Prabhupada don't want you to do all this. All you have to do is Chant Hare Krishna. Why you complicate your life? Right? It's so silly, You want to, Srila Prabhupada reduce all the austerities, made it easy for us. Then we say, why we are not doing that austerity? Okay, you go there and live there. So, in the spiritual world, Srila Prabhupada is there. So when we go back to the spiritual world, at least for me, I want to be where Prabhupada is. I don't want to be where someone else is saying something. Yeah? Sometimes people think they are the only ones who are going to the spiritual world and no one else is. But that's not how it is. Yeah? Those who are qualified, you will go. Okay? So you have to become serious, each and every one of you, because the whole idea is for you to connect with Krishna. So individually you're connecting to Krishna, but you're going through this Guru Parampara. And so you need to be serious when you chant. Chant attentively also. Hear what you chant. Don't chant and do multitasking. Right? So what are you paying attention to? Like for example, you invite a guest to your home, and then you sit them on a chair, and then you go about doing your whole own thing. How do you think your guest feels? So the same thing, when you call out on the name of the holy name, the Lord comes in your presence. But then if you're not attentive, it's the same thing. How do you think He feels? He's a person just like you. If people do not respond to you or engage you in some discussion when you come to their home, how do you feel? So that should be the mood. When we chant, we should pay attention. Then we will make nice advancement. And on a daily basis, this must be done. And on a daily basis, you must read Prabhupada's books to reinforce why you're practicing. And then, if possible, on a weekly basis, come to the temple. Or you come to the gathering weekly. Make that something that is part of your life. Then you find you are making spiritual advancement. Always hear from the right source. Don't just randomly, hear something. Don't go on the YouTube and look for something you want to hear, or TikTok and then knick-knock or whatever, Yeah, right? Knick-knock, right? All right. So loyalty is not blind. Again, we are not saying be blind followers. You can check, be intelligent about it. Ultimately, we want you to be grateful for what you are being given in this society, because it's for your benefit. It's not for us. We are not doing it because we get something out of it. No, it's not. It's for you because it's your relationship with Krishna is what we want to do. The only thing is we want to make sure that you don't get out of the practice by following something else and then you don't know what's the goal of life. So this opportunity is rare, but the path is very clear and the protection is available. The blessings are unlimited. So I'll stop here. If you have some reflection or if you want to ask some questions, corrections, there's not only me, there's others who are also well learned, they can also answer. Yes?
I have a question. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Karmante badhikaroste, mahapaleshu.
Everyone says that much. Yeah, go on.
Karma follow hetu bhumate shangostu.
Yes.
My question is to you. We have always expectation.
Yes.
When we do some work, we have expectation. I am planting a fruit tree. I know that I will get
some fruits. Yeah.
I am worshipping Lord Krishna because I know the next life I will be in a better position, or I will get book. That's why I am worshipping. So my question is to you that this nishkama karma, I am always questioning myself. Is it possible to do that? So that's the first question.
Oh, okay. You're worried about whether it works or not.
How to practice?
How to practice? It all starts with chanting first. You have to start somewhere, right? How did you learn how to speak? It started somewhere. How do you learn how to walk or drive? It starts somewhere. The fruits are available, but the fruits are also kind of trappings. You know, the goal of life is actually to go back to the spiritual world. The fruits are material. So when you say, I'm working and I expect some fruits, yeah, sure, the fruits are going to be there in your activities, but Krishna says you're not entitled to all the fruits. So generally, you have to give the fruits back to Krishna to purify that activity. Yeah. So, for example, in simple terms, the mango tree gives you 10 fruits. So, 5 of them you have to give to Krishna, and 5 you can enjoy. Yeah. But most people don't want to give even 5 to Krishna. They want to eat all 10. So therefore it becomes binding, karma phala. Yeah? And then becomes karma bandhan. And then you have to undergo the same problems and difficulties of life itself. So in our society, by coming together and discussing and practicing, you find that the impetus to become detached grows in your heart, if you're practicing properly. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asu Vairagim Dhyanam Chayat Ahaitukam. Both knowledge and detachment arises with one who practices seriously in devotional practice. Yeah. So the statements are there, and in fact many of us have practiced them. We know we can give up those things. So yes, Niskama Karma Yoga and ultimately Niskama is possible. Yeah. If you start with the premise that you cannot attain it, you will never attain it. Right? You're already defeated. So we don't have that philosophy in our movement. Our philosophy is you will get the goal. Yeah, but just follow nicely. Yeah. Okay? Yeah.
I have another question, sorry.
Sure.
Now, Bhagavad Gita, Yudhishthira says, when Yudhishthira understands that it's going to defeat, and that say that,
Going to what?
Going to defeat. And then they say that Ashwatthama.
That's in Bhagavatam.
Yeah, Bhagavatam. Ashwatthama. So that was a lie, but he was, telling the lie.
Okay, that's Mahabharata.
This is Mahabharata.
Okay.
So do you have any kind of, philosophical argument based on that?
Why are you so worried about that? So you have doubts. No, you shouldn't have doubts. There was reasons behind it. Aswatham is the son of Dronacharya. Now, Dronacharya cannot be defeated. Almost impossible. So the only way to defeat him is to let him give up fighting. He himself said that, I will never be able to be defeated. And so the plan was by, who gave the plan? Krishna. So it is Krishna's instruction. And so Krishna instructed, you say this. So we are judging from a point from our perspective, from a mundane view, what is morality. But Krishna is the source of all religious principles. Therefore, if Krishna says, kill this person, then it is religious principle. So similarly, he said, you say this, and Drona will only believe one person, and that's you, Yudhishthira. So you please say this. And so he reluctantly does it, and because he reluctantly does it, his chariot falls down, boom, because he didn't have faith. Yeah. So, yes. So try to understand, the purposes are for us to get also confused, because not everyone wants to surrender. So there's an avenue for them to say, Krishna cheated, or there's lies, and so I don't believe in these things. But because they are actually not qualified to follow in the footsteps. For one who has sufficient faith, he would say, Krishna can do anything. I'll give you an example. Once Narad Muni was passing through a village, then he met a Brahmana, and the Brahmana was saying, where are you going, my dear Narada? He said, I'm going to Vaikuntha. Then he said, will you please ask the Lord when I will go back to Godhead? And he said, yes. And then further along the marketplace, he met a cobbler. And the cobbler was saying, oh, my dear Lord Narada, what are you doing and where are you heading? He said, I am, going to Vaikuntha. And then he said, can you please find out in which lifetime I'll go back to Godhead? Because I'm suffering in this life. And then Narada said, I will. And so he went back to Vaikuntha. And he met Narayana, and they had some discussion, this and that. and he worshipped Lord nicely. And then when he was leaving, he said, I have 2 questions from 2 people I met. He said, the Brahmana wanted to know when he'll go back to your abode, the spiritual abode. And the cobbler, then the Lord smiled and said, okay, before I tell you, you go back and they will ask you this question and you should give them this particular answer. If they ask you, what am I doing? Tell them that I am trying to put an elephant through the eye of a needle. Okay, so Narada said, my Lord, you're putting hell? He said, just tell them that. So then Narada comes down from the spiritual realm to the material realm, and then he meets the Brahmana. And then the Brahmana says, did you see the Lord? He said, yes. And then he said, well, he asked him, when will I go back to spiritual world? So now, I forgot to mention, when Narada asked, when would the Brahmana go back? The Lord said, in many lifetimes. And then he asked the cobbler, when he said he'll go back in this lifetime. So Narada was shocked. So therefore the Lord said, tell them, when they asked the question, that I was pushing the elephant through the eye of a needle. So when the Brahmana said, when am I going? Then he said, you have many lives to go through. Then he said, what do you mean? I've been a perfect Brahmana. I've done so much of these austerities and I've worshipped the Lord so nicely. Why can't I go back, And then he said, no, this is what the Lord said. He said, I don't believe you. I don't think you saw the Lord. Then Narada said, I did. And he said, what was the Lord doing? The Brahmana asked. He said, the Lord was putting the elephant through the eye of a needle. So the Brahmana said, who can put the elephant through the eye of a needle? No way, you're lying, go away. You call yourself Narada. So Narada smiled and then he walked towards the cobbler. And then the cobbler was saying, the cobbler didn't even ask when he was going. First he said, you saw the Lord? How was the Lord? How was he doing? So he's doing well. What is he doing now? So the Lord is putting the elephant through the eye of a needle. And the cobbler said, my, so amazing. The Lord can do anything he wants. So you can see the faith of the cobbler versus that of a Brahmana. And as soon as he said that, the Lord sent the heavenly, spiritual vehicle, Vaikuntha airplane, and came and he went back to Godhead. So that's very important for you to also appreciate and understand that this is possible for us also. That whatever the Lord says, we should have sufficient faith and follow it. Of course, you also need to have association of people who are your well-wishers, who will not cheat you, okay? And that you're confident that they are always guiding you nicely, and your life will be successful. Okay? Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so when we pursue spiritual life, we have to give up many things. I used to be really into sports. Now I don't do much World Cup anymore because I don't want to get too invested.
Yeah.
My old friends, I had to give up. And then even my family, I have to change the way I deal with them. And then they're looking at me and they're like, how, do I want to do this? So how do I then show myself as someone who has the character, has the spirituality of someone who's attracted to them, while also necessarily have to give up. I can't go and get ice cream every night. Do I So how do I make it attractive to them? And it seems like I'm sort of cutting off things in my life and they're getting a bit worse.
Yeah, I mean, your parents definitely love you. And they have raised you into a good boy. That's why you took up this process. It is not possible if they didn't raise you in this way for you to take up. There is chances that sometimes randomly someone who's not coming from a good family background can still take up the process. So how do you make sure that they understand? It's by your behavior. How you treat them, Now that you become a devotee, do you look down on them? Do you see them as inferior? So this is not part of our training. We don't become like. Rather, you should view them with an eye of compassion in your heart. And you don't correct them. But rather you teach by your behavior, by your example. They see that my son is so exalted. And at the same time, you should be loving to them, How often you call your mom?
Not often.
Oh, okay. So these are things you need to fix. Where you call her to see how she's doing. Is she okay? Does she need you to come and spend time with her? Things like that, same with your dad and your sister also. So then they know, oh, CJ is such a nice boy, Anyway, your father knows you're a nice boy, because he told me, oh, he's a nice boy. I said, don't worry, I'll take care of him. Yeah, so, it's how you practice, Now, let's say you go home and your mom say, I want to watch this, will you sit with me and watch? Then you should say, yes, Mom, I'll sit with you and watch, But you don't have to absorb what you're watching, You don't have to, then, and if she says, look at this scene, look at it, and then if she says, what do you think? Then you have to make some comments, But if the movie or whatever is full of nonsense, then you can say, Mom, if you watch something nice, like, what is that guy's name? Huh? Yeah, David Attenborough. Mom, if you watch the Life on Earth or what, I definitely will sit on. Things, shows that are meaningful and that are uplifting for the general audience, Not some nonsense, dish, boom, bang, something like that, We don't need all those things, It's a waste of time anyway. But like I said, you can spend time with your mom and dad. But if the talk is going on to too much mundane thing, then you can say, I've listened so much, but now I want to go and read some books. Is that okay with you? So that way, you have your boundaries and they understand the boundaries and they appreciate that my son is not a weirdo. He's okay. So that should be all right. You don't have to shave your beard and shave your hair. You don't have to. But at the end of the life, you come to a point where you want to surrender. That's when you even don't mind shaving. Okay? Yes, Prabhuji.
You were talking about the sense of urgency.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, we've discussed this many times when we have these meetings, that when someone like yourself comes, and then, you sort of you get it. You think, yes, I need to be more urgent, I need to be more sincere. But then time and then, like a week passes, and then we go down a little bit, and then a month passes, we go down some more. So it's like, how does one keep the momentum going?
The material energy has two primary abilities, avaranatmika shakti and prasapatmika shakti. One is bewildering, another one is just covers you up. It covers you up because you are not practicing properly. It covers you up because you are not serious about it. Mostly we get into the trappings of our practices, thinking I am safe. But that's what the material energy is waiting for. As soon as you think you're safe, she pounces on you. And then you get covered over. And then you make mistakes and think it's okay. Our faith is not strong. So it's like waves, tarangini. Sometimes you're serious, sometimes you're not serious. So the practice must be serious. And the intent must be real. And therefore, when we come in front of our Lord, we pray that please Lord, protect me so that I do not get overwhelmed and covered by this material energy. My intent is to become a better devotee. Please guide me, let me see the failings that I have and kindly allow me to overcome these failings. When we think like that, then every time we are chanting, every time we are reading, that intent to connect with the Lord is always there. And then we go back to hearing Srila Prabhupada. And we hear Prabhupada, we get enthused. So that must be sustained. That association must be sustained. And whenever we feel low or down, we should call our devotee friends and say, hey, help me out. My mind is, playing around with me. And so those support system must be there in our life. If we don't have that good positive support system, then we are bound to fail in life also. The journey is it may be easy, but the journey has so many what we call highway robbers. Right? So they're all waiting to take us out. and so, yeah, material energy's job is to make sure that we are fit and qualified to go to the spiritual realm. So therefore the test is always relevant. Okay. Yeah. Yes?
Maharaj, wonderful, wonderful discourse. Just sometimes, some might think that, why should I be serious? My life is very nice. I'm in Australia. I've come from India. Now my life is settled. I do a bit of Hare Krishna. I come to the temple. I do a bit of service. But that's about it. And then look at the devotees. They're serious. But what's so good about their life? It's full of difficulty. But look at my life, very relaxed. So I just want to stay in this relaxed zone. I don't want to take the next step and become serious. Any words of wisdom?
So when we think like that, then we are depending, first of all, when we have good situation in life, when we exist with all the nice facilities, we should understand this is from our karma. Yeah. Karma has a beginning and an end also. So those who think like that should know that one day it's going to go. Yeah. But then at the same time, the devotee who is going through a lot of difficulties is actually, according to Shastra, he's actually burning away his karma. And therefore at the end of his life he has no more karma. So one who's karma is actually qualified to go back to Godhead within this life. Whereas one who is using up his karma to enjoy the material life is actually going to come back. And when he comes back, he has no more good karma, or he has less of it. So the next life will be a little bit more difficult than this life. Or there's no guarantee you'll get a human life if you're not serious. Or Krishna will want to help you out by putting you in a very difficult situation in the next life for misusing this life. Right? So you had wealth and you didn't want to make the right choices, no problem. Let's go to a couple of steps down and then experience the difficulty of what life is all about. This is an illusion actually, again, to say, I'm okay, everything is okay. Now tomorrow the government can change the law and say, okay, those who are from India have to go back to India. Then what are you going to do? Oh, everyone's scared now. But it's a reality. Why do you think it can't happen? It's a fallacy to think it won't happen, actually. So therefore, the urgency must be there. Right? To think it's okay. Or let's say the company that devotee is working, tomorrow they shut down, bang, bang, bankruptcy. Then what? They give you 3 months pay, and then what? You have like 2 sons and 1.5 pets, and then you have to support them,
What happened to my son yesterday? He just came home, said exactly the same thing. The place is gone.
There you go. It's quite common, People are becoming very greedy, and so they don't care. They don't have compassion in their hearts anymore. In like 50, 60, almost 100 years ago, if you work for a company for 10, 20 years, they feel like you're part of the family. They'll even take care of you. Now they're waiting to kick you out the first day you come in. It's like going to university. In US, when you join the university, you get 4.0 GPA. So you're supposed to maintain that GPA all throughout the 4 years of your course. But the school will put the exam such that you will have to give up some points. So that's how material world is. They are all terrible out there. They don't care about what your life ends up with. Nobody cares anymore. Which is why it's important for our movement to establish and bring people to learn that we will give you love that you can't get out there. Because we are your well-wishers. That's true love. You were going to say something? Yeah.
You were briefly touching about it earlier on about eclecticism. And sounds like a nice, way that, just like, we're just about ready to take the shard, and, there's a bit from one pot and a bit from another pot, and it makes a nice variety when you play it. So the same thing, if you take a little bit of Hare Krishna, and a little bit of Buddhism, and a little bit of Tao, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, then it's like, you feel that, hey, one of them must be right. So if I have them all, then I'm safe.
Well, the practices are not like that. Even in any of these practices, even if you take Buddhism, you have to do the full 9 yards to get the benefit of that practice. Similarly, in Christianity also, you have to do what Jesus taught them fully. Then you get the benefits. So similarly, in our practices also, if you put in the effort nicely, then there's the results that has been promised. You will get that. But if you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you don't get this or that. And at the end of life, you're dying with nothing. Yeah. So it's a fallacy, to think I can add this, that and that. So what is food tasting is different from practicing to connect with the Supreme Lord. You cannot, although the analogy may seem right, but it's not correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yes?
No, the kids are just, I was telling them to listen to your class.
They are discussing important philosophy. Right? Yeah. Yeah, you see? Yeah, we have some Muni and some Rishis sitting here. Yeah. They are from Naimisharanya forest. They are chanting for our benefit. Yeah. Right? That's okay. They're not disturbing me here. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu, for a very nice enlightening class. My question is, you're saying we are all sadhakas who are sitting here. So you were saying yesterday also that you have to become serious to go back to God. So I've also heard that even if we have a subtle desire, in our heart, of course we are not qualified to go back to Godhead. So what is the hope, Maharaj, or that we can really endeavor in this lifetime, or is there any hope? Because I have, for example, sort of desires. So what about talking about subtle desires?
Subtle desires. Well, the practice is based on how sincere you are. You may have desires, but how sincere are you? When we connect with the Supreme Lord, the sincerity takes precedent actually. So it's important to practice for the right reason. But if you're practicing for the wrong reason, then you have no hope. But if you have the right reason and yet there is this desire, then Krishna will help you overcome those desires. Throughout your life you'll see that as you're practicing sincerely, that which you had desire may become lesser and finally disappear. It is no more important to you. Yeah? Yeah. So that's why I say, like billboards and advertisement, they will hit you in the face and then you're like, you never needed it, but now you're thinking, because it's a subtle desire. It's impacting you. But if you're strong, that won't disturb in your practice, right? So, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen automatically. It will, but the main thing is how you're connecting with the Lord. What is your true desire? So you have to reveal to the Lord, reveal to your spiritual master, pray to Srila Prabhupada, pray to the Lord and say, I really want to, have this connection with you and I don't want these desires in my heart. It's one thing to say I have these subtle desires, but it's another thing to actually want to get rid of those desires. But if you're not attempting to get rid of it, then you have to go through it. Yeah. So the prayers must be there, the intent must be there, then the result will be positive. Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
In necro devotion, it says that devotees derive liberation.
Yes.
So then what we are talking about going back to Godhead. So can you...
That's moksha laguta krita. Right? So a devotee derives means he is not attracted to the impersonal liberation. Yeah, so that's the main thing. Rather he wants to serve. Just like you enjoy serving your guests, you like to personally do that. Impersonalism has no personal kind of action. So why would anyone want to be in that? So a devotee always wants personal relationship with the Supreme Lord Himself also. He's not interested in going, for example, you can go to the room and lock yourself, but how long are you going to be there? After 5 minutes you want to come out and join with everyone, because that's more attractive. Yeah. So that's a higher taste. And so moksha lagata krita, the purpose behind that, the statement means he derides it. He doesn't want to have anything to do with impersonal relation with the Lord. All he wants is to have a personal relationship.
But in that also liberation there is salokya, you know?
Yes, but that's different. That's not impersonal relationship. Salokya, Shasti, Samipya and Shasti, they are all different. They are opulence, sharing the similar opulence of the Lord. Sarupya, having the same form. Salokya, living in the same planet. And Shasti, yeah? The opulence. What is it? Friendship, yeah. Samipya. Yeah. So these are the 4 things. But that is on Vaikuntha liberation.
Not
No, not impersonal. So it's good you clarify, otherwise you are going to go and do the wrong thing.
So those liberation are going back to the Vaikuntha planet.
Yes.
But back to God, they're talking about the Goloka.
Yes. Yeah. Upper planet is within this universe, material universe. So we are not interested in that. Liberation could be liberated from the influence of the material energy. Or liberation for some people is going back to home and then sit in their furniture. They don't want to be in the office. Right? For some people, liberation is, getting away from their husband or wife and their children. Right? So within this material universe, you can go to upper planet, but you're not liberated yet. You're still within the material. Generally, we say liberation means not being affected by the 3 modes of material nature. Okay? That's one level of liberation. The other liberation is impersonal liberation. And the ultimate liberation is actually Krishna Prema, or Vishnu Prema, or Narayana Prema.
And also a devotee never, he always, a real devotee or pure devotee, his aim is to associate with Krishna or in any planet, doesn't matter whether it is in material world but as long as he can get a life where he can always execute the devotional service.
Yes, I think we always focus on wanting to please Krishna. Yeah. We just want to. We don't. One devotee wants to, Prabhupada, I want to serve in this material world Krishna forever. Then Prabhupada, you don't think like that. You want to get out from this material world. Yeah. Because we are not qualified yet to say, I want to serve all, He said that's not the right thought. We want to get out. So we practice. And if Krishna says, okay, I want you to go and help these people in the material, then you come and do that service. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. That's okay.
So, very nice. Yes, the little girl has a question.
Yeah, that's
The
fine.
last,
she has a question.
Very nice question.
Wow.
And last Saturday they hosted a very nice program on Ekadashi.
Yeah.
And what is your question?
Oh, she must be
Just kind of ask the question.
Muni from her previous life.
She sang a very nice kirtan also
Oh, wow.
first time. What's your question?
Why does Radha get to stand next to Krishna?
Why does Radha get to stand next to Krishna? Yeah. Because Krishna doesn't want to be without Radha. Among all the devotees who love him, there's no one who can love Krishna as much as Radha. So Krishna feels complete when he is with Radha. Radha is his internal potency, Ladini Shakti. And so whenever he is in his pastime, he is always looking to be complete. So when Radha is there, then his relationship with her and the loving exchanges they do together completes his joy. Okay? Whereas others who come, they complete an aspect of his joy, but they don't completely complete him to make it easy. Can you understand that? Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, she is a sage from previous life. There's a Muni.
Give me an example of billboards.
Examples of billboards, yeah.
You know, sometimes Krishna gives you a very graphic example that you cannot deny in just a life experience. So I noticed that when I went to India and down to Delhi, I didn't realise how big the billboards can get. You know, they're like huge.
Yeah.
You know? But what this billboard was like a really beautiful young girl and a very handsome young man, decked out in the most opulent clothes, with jewellery all over them, and in front of a big new model car, in front of a big high-rise apartment building. And it was like, it was just calling out, you can do this, you know. But then on the side of the billboard, you actually saw how people were actually
Living there.
And still they were thinking, somehow or other, I can get there.
There, yes, yes. The other thing I didn't mention is actually in the society now, they sell this lie, big lie, and they lie to the whole world that you can achieve this, you know, this position and so on. So everyone buys into this lie, and then they are trying to live a lie, and they can never get it. Not everyone will be a CEO of one company, right? There's only one guy or one lady will be the CEO. But then they make you believe that in the company they'll say, yeah, you work, you get promoted, you do it, wow. They build this fantasy that you believe in, you know, it's a lie. An intelligent person will know this guy is all lying, but you know, I need to work to pay the bills, so okay, fine, you know, I'll go along with it as long as I can, but I'm not going to subscribe to it. Yeah. So this lie is so prevalent in society, what to speak about the billboard. You want to buy a car, it's the same thing. A beautiful girl next to a car, but what has she got to do with the car? Right? Nothing, but that's how it is. Yeah? You buy a refrigerator, there's a woman next to it. Right? So all that. You buy a house, there's also a man and a woman also. They're all happy, you know. But then when you buy the house, you are not happy because you have to fix the damn thing. You have to pay all the bills. So it's a lie, actually, you know, and we buy into it and then we do not know how to get out of it. It's like a whirlpool that's sucking you in and you don't know how to swim out of it. So ISKCON is an anchor that we're throwing you life buoys which you can hold on to and get out of this whirlpool. And then you realize these are all things you cannot really achieve. Not all of you will achieve the same thing, right? All of you went to the same school, same college, same teacher, same lessons, same homework, but only 1 or 2% became the top student. Why? Why not all of you? Yeah, so we have to understand some things we can't, all of us can't do. Similarly in life also you should understand, you cannot fix everything in your life. You can only fix some things that you can control. There are many things in the world that you cannot fix. So you cannot profess to say, I will fix it, you know. Or in the same way, you reflect, just because the billboard says I can achieve it doesn't mean I will be able to, my karma may not allow me. So an intelligent person will think, you know, yes, maybe no. Yeah. Actually, I have a nice karma slide. One day I'll show you. Maybe next year. When I come to
tomorrow maybe we can, when in the class in the temple I can bring the TV out, then you can show it on.
No, it's an hour long. Yeah. It's about karma. Yeah. Okay then. Time. Yeah.
Just one last question.
Yeah.
Yesterday you mentioned, Maharaj, about the society has become, the way the society has become, like we are result oriented, and even in our devotional mood, like we are getting more result oriented. But Srila Prabhupada has taught that we have to become, we should be doing service for pleasing Him, pleasing Lord Shri Krishna. If you can please just elaborate on that.
You want me to elaborate on how to please Krishna?
Yeah, like elaborate on instead of result oriented, like.
Yeah, even in devotional service,
Yeah.
the point I was saying is when we are practicing to please Krishna, we shouldn't be expecting phala. So we don't go to Krishna and say, give me this, give me that, give me a Lexus, give me a house, give me a permanent residency. All these are fruitive. So our intent to prayer is, all these are temporary. This life you may get all that, but then you die and then you have to come back, you don't have that anymore. Then you take birth in India, then again you try to come to Australia. What for? Right? So stop doing that. Just go back to the spiritual world. So therefore, you shouldn't be wanting things from Krishna. Rather, what is our constitutional position? Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nitya. We are eternally servants. So learn to serve. So the prayer should be, how can I serve you, Lord? You know, I am in this position, I'm a CEO and I'm doing this business. That how can I make sure that my service to you is genuine, that I'm doing it out of love for you. I want to practice that. That's more important to me. This may be due to my past karma, or this may be due because you are kind to me. I'm grateful for that. But ultimately, I want to connect with you. So therefore, don't give me too many things that will hold me in this material world. But you should be ready. He can also take things away. So yeah. So we actually do what we call Shuddha Bhakti. That means Anya Vilasi Kashunyam Dhyana Karma Dhyana Marukulyena Krishna Anusilanam Bhakti Uttama. To please Krishna, we do bhakti that has no attachment to it, no fruitive results to it, no knowledge acquiring. All we want to do is Ananya Bhakti, to please what He wants. And we'll do it as long as He wants it. So that's true bhakti. Yeah, that's what we have to do. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'm so grateful you all have been able to tolerate me. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for really enlightening us, putting all your heart just for all of us, that we can become serious in Krishna consciousness. Very grateful to you. And as I said at the beginning of this class, this nectar is actually flowing continuously since Sunday evening till it was there yesterday evening, today morning, and it's continuing to do tomorrow morning Srimad Bhagavatam Katha at the temple, evening Wednesday spiritual program, and then again the last time on Thursday morning. So please, we should take the full advantage of this most valuable association of His Grace Radha Krishna Prabhu, so that we can get to the lotus feet of Shri Radha and Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Radha Krishna Prabhu ki jai. You can say 3 times, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So very grateful to the ISKCON Canberra management as well for kindly inviting Maharaj here in Canberra. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sharira Viteja Yogindiya Tahekal Jiva Pale Vishesagore Tara Madhye Jiveyati Lobhomoye Sudurmati Takhe Jetha Kathina Samsare Krishna Baro Doyamoy Kori Bare Jiva Joy Saprasadam Anatilo Bhai Sina Mrita Pao Shri Radha Krishna Guna Gao Premeda Koshi Chaitanya Nitai Jai Mai Jai Nitai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. बोलो श्री श्री राधा माधव जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा निताय गौर शिला प्रभुपाद महाप्रसादम की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री राधा कृष्ण प्रभु की जय, हरि बोल. So now we'll have the prasadam, so you can kindly queue up for the prasadam and sit here in the line. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you to each one of you for kindly coming. Hare Krishna.
Start